Okay, so I want to talk about the specific benefits of having stories like this available to the public, right? So what do you think are some of these benefits that people can get from, maybe if they can't be there live or they're not giving their story, what can they get out of listening to these stories?
The number one thing that I hope to aim to get with running my interview show is that I want to have a diverse range of individuals who are represented, because the last thing that I want is to hear the same people talking about the same issues over and over and over again. And particularly in the UK, the anti-trans side are very good at getting their people into all of the media and going on the I've been cancelled media tour and the I've been cancelled court case and the I've been cancelled interview on television show. And I saw this and it frustrated me because it wasn't a reflection of reality. And I wanted to give a platform to people so that they could say, well, hang on a minute, I'm a human being at the end of the day, and I have a story, and it's completely different to the human being that you may have seen on certain television channels, or you may have heard about bringing a certain court case, or you may have seen promoting a certain book. And I wanted to give a voice to other people, because the number one thing that I heard from some people is, I don't see people like me talking about the issues that affect me as a non-cisgendered person. And to show that to the general public and to show that non-cisgender people don't all look like me, they're not all white, binary, trans women, or they're not the polar opposite of me, white, binary, trans men, and that there are shades of grey. And non-white people also transition, and white people also transition, and you can be binary and you can be non-binary, or you can take the approach that Puck took and turn around and stuck two fingers up at gender and went, what the heck do I do with gender?
So yeah, that's what I think is one of the most important things, is that there are some people who they don't know someone in their life who is trans, and they don't have an idea of what that perspective is like. So I think that's wonderful that these stories are there, because at least they can get to hear some of that perspective of people who are telling stories that they probably wouldn't get to hear any other place in their life.
Yeah, I met the first trans person I met was a woman named Julianne. It was one of my first jobs. I couldn't have been maybe more than 16, and I was working in a call center, and they were so lonely that she told me her entire story one night over a coffee after work, because we were actually doing supervisor training, and then just went for a coffee after, and she was so just happy to have somebody who didn't hate her for no reason, and that's always stuck with me, years and years and years later, that like it's just people just want to be accepted for who they are. And so I'm glad you're doing what you're doing, Phoebe.
Thank you.
So telling stories does run some risk of delving into subjects and topics that may be triggering for some. So what's the best advice that you would have for people who may be triggered but would still find your content useful or entertaining?
Understand that you, as a viewer of the show, are in control of the show. Nobody is requiring you to watch my show. And if something is difficult or challenging for you, hit the pause button. And if you want to continue watching it, then press the play button again. It's not a requirement that if something is difficult, you have to plow all the way through to the end. But if something has caught you by surprise or caught you off guard, I will always say that there are support groups out there. And if something is particularly getting to you, there are support groups who have helplines in the UK, in the US, and in Canada. I know there are a number of organizations. But I would say be kind to yourself. If something is upsetting you in one of the interviews that I'm giving, take a step back, be kind to yourself. I generally try to introduce the topic of questioning where I'm going to be going in my interview. So if I'm going to be talking about certain issues which may be of a sexual nature, we're going to start moving on to a slightly different topic, and I will gradually build up the segments within. And I personally, when I'm running an interview, try to scout for the audience and the person that I'm interviewing where the interview is going to head. But I understand that someone may not see that, they may come in at different points. But if you are triggered by something in one of the interviews, don't allow it to be you alone if you're comfortable reaching out to somebody who may be a friend, who may be a professional, or who may be a stranger at the end of a helpline. Don't allow it to eat yourself up. Don't allow it to consume you until it becomes too much. If you're not ready to discuss that issue and you just need some space and some time to yourself, that's fine as well. But don't allow it to become the central portion of who and what you're becoming, and be kind to yourself.